I blatantly refuse to put myself in a box where somebody else is going to tell me what I can and cannot write. Hello, welcome to day 23 of the Writer Diaries. My name is Tiana, or Tiana, which is with a J, and honestly, I can't believe we've made it this far, but here we are. And so if you're new to my channel, this is a little series I've got going on where for 30 days I'm going to upload a little writer diary talking about my thoughts and feelings and general musings as I'm working on my mafia romance project. And today's video topic is going to be about writing, and then like writing for, let's say, literary critics or writing to market. So the idea for this video comes from a comment that was left by Straight Edge Junkie, actually. And I found it interesting because they had mentioned talking about like doing a video on writing and trying to navigate writing your project while maintaining your own voice, while also perhaps keeping in mind the thoughts of literary critics. And to be honest, as I responded to them in my subsequent comment, was that I don't think about that. The reason being is because I started writing this mafia project, like this mafia romance project, for myself, mostly. If you watch one of my other writer video diaries where I talked about like how I got bored of mafia romance and I decided to write one of my own, that's how it started. I just didn't like what I was seeing in the genre predominantly. It felt like the same story recycled over and over with the same tropes. Some of the tropes I didn't even like that were pretty present in the genre, and it just got to a certain point where I just completely gave up on it. But I could see a lot of the appeal there, and I figured I can just write what it is that I want. And that's what I ended up doing. I knew always that like I wanted to write a book. I just didn't know how or when I was going to get there. And it wasn't really until November 2021 when I did my first NaNoWriMo that I really settled down and was like, I'm gonna write a book. But throughout this entire process, even now, as I'm working on the second draft of my book, I have not once considered the thoughts of what a literary critic might say to this book. And you know why that is? Is because this book is a freaking masterpiece, so I don't have to worry about it. I'm kidding. The real reason being is that, first of all, this book is written for me and what I wanted to read and what I think was missing in the mafia romance genre at the time. I don't know what's going on now in the genre because I haven't touched it since 2019, I believe, to be honest. So maybe it's gotten better. Out of the few snippets I've seen of things online, I think it's kind of stuck in the same place, so I'm not too worried. Second of all, the reason I started writing this book was, again, I just wanted to write a book. I knew I wanted to write a book since I was a teenager. I just wanted to see for myself, can I sit down and actually write a book, and can I truly get this done? Once I started writing it, the priority was just to finish the book, to get everything out of my head that I needed to get this story out, which again is why it probably ended up being 158,000 words, but that was then the goal. It was like, just get everything out on the page and worry about fixing it later. So that's what I did. Now I'm fixing it. As I've gained more knowledge about the publishing industry and I've talked to other writers and obviously just spent a lot more time on this craft, I've come to realize that people, for example, always talk about a few different things, of which I'm going to tell you right now. Also, none of them interest me. Absolutely none of them. And those are things like picking your niche as a writer. Are you going to be a romance writer or a horror writer or a fantasy writer or something? No, 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 no. You know why? You know why? Because I blatantly refuse to put myself in a box where somebody else is going to tell me what I can and cannot write. Because look, the Mafia Romance is only going to be 3 books. If you've watched my video about all my writing projects, uh, I'll link that somewhere. It's going to be somewhere. But the books in that video, so there's, yeah, a trilogy with 3 Mafia Romance books. There's going to be at least one book that's a not political, sorry. It's a sci-fi dystopian social commentary, and now there's been a few years since I started it. Spoiler alert, I'm kind of getting ideas for a second book in that project. For Project K&M and Druid and R&J, they're not a trilogy, it's more like a duology, and like the third book just takes place in the same world, but it's not a continuation of the first two. First two, I've come to realize, most likely are political thrillers, and then R&J is actually truly the only romance project that I have. Then there's Project Circus, which is it's going to be some sort of experimental project I have in mind. It's probably going to take place in second POV, which I know is like a big no-no for most people, which is exactly why I want to do it like that, because I'm almost viewing it as an experimental piece. And then there's 2 nonfiction projects. And then I would like to get into attempting to write short stories solely really to help me, if I can learn to be more concise with my writing, perhaps it'll help with my actual novels too. So I consider that almost an exercise, writing short stories. I don't know if anything will ever come of those, though I do have one actual idea for a short story. And then poetry. And so as you can see, because my writing projects are all so diverse, I would either have to pick one genre and throw out all the ideas, or I could, I guess, come up with a pseudonym for every single type of project. And personally, I think that's a massive, massive waste of my time, because then I would have to like market each of them individually. Like for my Mafia Romance, I'm Hey Tiano with a J, and then for my dystopian novel, I'm gonna be, I don't know, Sarah Smith, and then for my political thrillers, I'm gonna be, I don't know, Rudolph James. Like, I know people will say like, oh, well, then your audience isn't gonna know what to expect from you. If they like your Mafia Romance, they're going to want to see more of that. They're gonna not, they're not gonna care about dystopia. The other thing I have to say to that is also, I don't care. Like, at the end of the day, I'm writing for myself. Like, I see on the Facebook groups that I'm a part of, a lot of people are doing like market research, let's say finding popular genres, picking one they like, they look up what are the most popular tropes, then they write those in, they define their ideal writer, and they're writing, if you ask me, they're writing for somebody else. They're not writing for themselves. They're not writing because they love writing, because they have this truly genuine, amazing story that's bursting out of them to be told. You know that poem by, hold on, by, it's not Ernest Hemingway, it's the other guy, Charles Bukowski. And there's that one poem he wrote, gosh, I can't remember, I'm so sorry, but in it he says, it's the one where he says, if it doesn't come bursting out of you like a rocket, don't do it. And he keeps repeating don't do it throughout the entire poem. But he's basically saying, like, if you're writing for other people, if you're writing for money, if you're writing for literally any other reason other than the just soul love of what you're doing, to the point where, again, it feels like this story is going to burst out of you, it's going to crawl up out of your throat and demand that you say it. If you're not writing because that's how you feel, then you shouldn't do it. You shouldn't do it. And I'm of that belief. I feel like if you're searching up trends and you're picking a genre just because it's popular and you're trying to target a very specific audience, I think you're a sellout. I'm gonna just say that right now. I think maybe you're not even a sellout yet because you haven't done anything yet. But I don't think that you possess that inner fire of an artist or a creative, because the ones that are truly the best, in my opinion, are those that do this because they feel like they have no other option, that they cannot do anything else. And if you look at people in other areas like sports, for example, I mean, everybody, if anybody's followed this channel even remotely, knows that I'm not a big sports fan. I don't like sports for like the masses in general. However, I do admire the discipline and dedication that athletes will show for their sport. Certain athletes. So you look at people like Kobe Bryant or Michael Jordan or Novak Djokovic. Of course, I have to throw a Serb in there, but best tennis player in the world, you don't get there because you're just like half-assing your way there. But these sorts of people, they didn't go into basketball or tennis or whatever sport thinking, yeah, you know what sport makes a lot of money? Yeah, I think I'll go become a basketball player because so-and-so made $50 million in a year. Let me go do that too. Like they don't go into the sport for that. They go into it because they truly are obsessed with it and they love it and they can't think about anything else. And I think that's what separates the greats from the averages. At this point, it's very easy to write a book, but in the sense of like, most people are literate. They have access to pen and paper, or they have access to the internet and to a laptop. And realistically speaking, anybody can sit at a laptop and start typing away and type up a story. So it's easy. There's a very low barrier of entry is what I'm trying to say. Achieving excellence, though, is a lot more difficult. And while I'm not trying to say necessarily like, oh yeah, don't read other books in your genre, don't try to figure out what your readers want, don't listen to them. That's again, not at all what I'm saying. I'm just saying that if you want to be a good writer and you want to be authentic, I think you have to just truly write what you want. Because at the end of the day, people also follow the people that they like, that they resonate with their story, especially now with everybody branding themselves online and sharing stuff on Instagram, and especially even us writers, we're putting ourselves out here on YouTube and Instagram stuff, even though some of us don't want to be here and would rather be like, a void somewhere deep, unknown enigma that no one even knows what they look like, but somehow is still wildly successful. Thomas Pynchon vibes, anyone? That's what I wish I could be, but it's not really. I guess we don't live in that kind of time anymore. Which, I mean, also not to say that I don't like doing this. I do. I have enjoyed doing this YouTube adventure, let's call it that. Whoever buys my books in the future, and if you've been following me on this channel and whoever will follow me in the future, hopefully one of the reasons you'll buy my books is because you like me as a person, I guess. Like, I don't know, you want to follow along on my writing journey, you feel like we've connected, and you're like, I want to buy that girl's book because she seems like a really cool person. Like, the girl is writing masterpieces. Essentially what I'm trying to say is I am writing for myself, and because I have these interesting stories to tell, and if no one cares about them until I die and I end up being like Kafka, where he didn't even want to publish things, and then when he was about to die, he was like, look, just burn all this crap. And then Max Brod was like, just kidding, jokes, I'm going to publish this because it's actually good. If that's what has to happen in my life, or after my life, I guess, I'm okay with it. You know why I'm okay with it, though? Because I am not solely depending on writing to be the only thing in my life that matters, or the only source of income, or the only thing that I will ever be, which is why I also don't want to put myself in a box of being one particular writer, because I, in my life, have certain goals and dreams and things that don't align with each other whatsoever, and there's so many things I'd like to do in my life that writing, as much of an important facet of my life that it is, and how much I prioritize it and I love it, it's not going to be the only thing that I am and that I do, and nor do I want it to be. It'll probably be a big part. It'll be very important to me, and I'm sure that I will prioritize it more in certain seasons of my life and less in others. But because my sole identity isn't going to be built on writing and making money from writing and being labeled as some sort of particular author, I feel as if I'm then not constrained by these boundaries set by publishing houses or readers or how-to people on YouTube who tell me that I need to, again, find my target audience and my niche and pick a genre and blah, blah, blah. My target audience is anybody who likes stories that are intense, because most of my, like all of my stories are going to be very intense. Hopefully they will be thought-provoking. They will make you think about the world that you're living in the system that you're living in. They're going to make you question, would you do things the same way my characters do in that situation, or would you do the complete opposite? These are the kinds of things I would like to get across in my writing, and those are the kind of readers that I'm looking for. If you're somebody who wants to like use your brain, who doesn't want to let ChatGPT turn your brain into freaking oatmeal, look up that MIT study. Like it's it's bad. It's bad. So if you're somebody who would like to preserve your brain cells for the future, then I would say you're my ideal reader. And hopefully my books will provide you with some neuronal stimulus and some neuronal food. And that's what I want from my books, not to, box myself in to appease some sort of arbitrary rules that realistically probably don't need to exist especially now. I think that kills authenticity. It's going to kill your authenticity. It's going to kill your desire for your writing. It's going to kill your soul of who you are and what it means for you to do the work that you're doing, whatever it is, writing, painting, sculpting. If you love what you do and you do it authentically and wholeheartedly, without regard for what other people think, as long as you're creating what matters to you, guess what? People will love it anyway. They will come flock to it anyway. And because you didn't bother to follow the rules or put yourself in a box, it's just going to make you that much better. So yeah, if anybody asks, I'm just a writer. That's it. I'm not going to be any particular, so I'm just a writer. Either you like my books or you don't. And if you don't, read whatever books you like, the ones that appeal to you. You don't want to read mafia romance? Okay, one day go read my dystopian sci-fi commentary. You don't like that? Maybe the political thriller will appeal to you. Or, I don't know, maybe my book about the jungle. I don't know. I'm sure something out there will appeal to you. And you can ignore the rest. Again, for me, in the long run, it's not going to make any sort of difference. I think you shouldn't care either. And if you disagree with me, let me know in the comments. I'm really curious as to your guys' thoughts. Do you think that we should just be writing whatever we want for our own sakes, full well knowing that eventually the right people will flock to us? Or should we be more considerate about what other people want? I mean, you already know how I feel. And that's kind of my whole life philosophy. I literally don't care what anybody else does, what anybody else says. I hope that more of you take that mentality as well, because I think that's what's going to make the truly great artists. So I hope you enjoyed this little bit of a rant. Who doesn't love a good rant? But I think it's important for people to know that you don't have to limit yourself by the definitions that other people have set for you. It's really fun to go against what people think you can and cannot do. If you like this video, guys, you already know what to do. It never changes. Like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you in the next diary. Thank you for watching. Bye!